All of us are familiar with the term fake news. Donald Trump will use it to characterize CNN and MSNBC's coverage of his presidential campaign. But if you look and pay attention on social media, there's also another variety of fake news. And it's not perpetrated by these websites you never heard of, but it's been perpetrated by columnists, writers, correspondents, and contributors to major news platforms. Maggie Haberman of the New York Times, of CNN, of various news organizations made a tweet that I feel is so repugnant it deserves its own video. Maggie Haberman of the New York Times, Politico, CNN, she responded to a tweet made by Bernie Sanders, where Bernie Sanders says, by pardoning Sheriff Arpaio, President Trump has once again made clear where he stands on the side of racism and discrimination. In replying to that tweet, Maggie Haberman says this, worth recalling that James Sanders appeared with Arpaio once and toured his tent jail. Is it just me, or does Haberman's tweet insinuate that James Sanders and Arpaio are somehow friends, or that she made like a social visit to Arpaio to kind of check out his tent city and glow about it or give him props for it? I mean, that's the way I took the tweet. Okay, here are the facts. James Sanders toured the tent city in Arizona, but she did not do so ahead of time prepping it with Joe Arpaio, who later heard that James Sanders was going to be there, came down to greet her and give the tour himself. That was not prearranged. Also, James Sanders was very scathing of Joe Arpaio's tent city. In fact, she chided about the conditions of the prisoners and about racial profiling and the need for fair immigration reform that leads to citizenship. So she was on the direct opposite of Joe Arpaio. Now, Ms. Haberman may have only had 140 characters to express this in her tweet, but she left a lot of room in her tweet to say more. Definitely to, shore up the ambiguity that was in the tweet, where it could be misinterpreted as a smear and as a lie. But see, I think, and this is just my thoughts, I think she meant to leave it open to interpretation, to take a swing at James Sanders and by extension Bernie Sanders. This is our neoliberal politics at work. This is fake news at work, and it's a glaring representation. Now, you don't have to believe me. Here goes a clip of the actual visit of James Sanders to Arpaio's tent city in Arizona.
Whether you support it or not, most in America have heard of Tent City. James Sanders visited the compound and used the backdrop to bring light to her concerns on immigration.
What we have to have is a comprehensive immigration reform with a path towards citizenship, and we need to do that yesterday.
When she went to see Tent City, she didn't expect to go inside.
Had I known he was here, I probably would have asked to meet with him.
But Sheriff Joe Arpaio wanted to take her in and show her what it's all about, so he did.
She talked to all the inmates, got their side of the story. She's complaining about 130 degrees. Like I told her, our men and women are fighting for our country, living in tents, so I'm not concerned about convicted criminals living in the tents.
And that's when the controversial sheriff found himself a mudslinging target of a presidential candidate, but probably not the one you'd expect.
The fact that he crashed her meeting is, to me, very, very wrong, not something that he should have done.
Arizona Sheriff Arpaio and Tent City are often stops on the campaign trail, but looking back, the sheriff told me this one was different than most.
Some of you may not be familiar with who Maggie Haberman is. You might want to give her the benefit of the doubt that maybe this was just an honest mistake, a miswording, so to speak. Clumsy wording is what she called it in the tweet. Well, first I want to illustrate for you who Haberman is. She's the same woman who sat at the table with Keith Ellison, Dowd, Navarro, Stephanopoulos, and chided Ellison for even suggesting that the Democratic Party should luck out because Donald Trump could win this whole thing. In fact, she's the loudest one laughing at this table.
All I want to say is that anybody, well, from the Democratic side of the fence who thinks that, who's terrified of the possibility of President Trump, better vote, better get active, better get involved, because this man has got some momentum, and we better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket.
Next, I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on to Matthew Dowd.
Sorry to laugh.
I'm not making Maggie Haberman the focus of this video because she was wrong about Trump. A lot of liberal media were wrong about Trump. If that was the case, we'd have to indict this whole table except for Keith Ellison. But here's the point. Maggie Haberman is the same journalist who was featured here in this WikiLeaks document. Now, in this document that you can find as well, I'll put a link in the link description below, the communications director for Hillary Clinton, his name is Nick Merle. He sent an email to Robbie Mook, which was the campaign director, wasn't he, of Hillary Clinton campaign? This is what Nick Merle had to say. He says, "We have a very good relationship with Maggie Haberman of Politico over the last year. I wonder what a very good relationship means. If you're a communications director, what does that mean? We have had her tee up stories for us before and have never been disappointed." What does tee up stories mean? Hey, look, I'm not exactly sure. There's no dictionary here. There's no glossary. But I'll tell you this. I think when you tee up a story, that means you serve the story the way it needs to be served so that it can be hit off the park by Hillary Clinton or by whoever entity that employs you. It helps you deliver your narrative regardless to the actual facts of the story, but it helps them push the story in the direction they want it to be, or for it to be accepted by the masses in the way that best shines light on you and your candidate or your corporation or your cause. This is not about ethical journalism, which questions authority, which questions corporations or entities or politicians, but in fact, Maggie Haberman is being described here as someone who does the opposite, which just makes it easier, makes it more pliable for Hillary Clinton. And it concludes with this. "For this, we think we can achieve our objective and do the most shaping by going to Maggie." So I want you to really think about what that means. All right? Please consider what that means. That means that of all the people that could be chosen, all the people in your contacts list, all of those people that are at the disposal of Nick Merle or Robbie Mook, Maggie Haberman was the best outlet in order to send out a message that totally supports Hillary Clinton and her campaign. Think about what that means. Maggie will do whatever you want, however you want. She's amazing. That's what that means. At least that's what they think anyway. So, hey, maybe it's not reality, but they sure think it's reality, Maggie. I wonder if Maggie has ever addressed this. Perhaps Maggie Haberman didn't just simply make a mistake or misspeak or misword or tweet, but that she intentionally slandered Jane Sanders and by extension Bernie Sanders and misled all of her followers and by extension the entire internet, as many people as she could possibly reach, with a false narrative that directly contradicts reality. And I don't think she felt bad about it. I don't think she was mistaken. I don't think it was an accident. I think it was very much intentional. Become a member of my Wolf Pack by going in the description box below and helping fund independent media where we expose corruption, lies, deceit, and we try to do so in an entertaining way. I'm Tim Black for TBTV. Thanks for tuning in, and like I always say, don't you let nobody take your cornbread. And believe me, these company men and women are taking your cornbread every day.